Hello, hello, hello. I am Dr. Brenda Jane Power, and the doctor represents metaphysics. What's the nature of being? So, what are you being today? How are you being today? Did you know that you could decide how to be? We're going to have a good show. Just going to start things up. I want you to think of the word volition, so volition and free will. So, tell me what you think volition is. Tell me what you think free will is. And do you feel like it's been compromised? Do you feel like you don't have it? Are you able to hold your pen or are you not able to hold your pen? So just think about how this is the era of where we get to decide how the creator of life. Before it was always, we have to do this, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And this is how you were parented, this is how life is supposed to be. You can't really be yourself. And people are finding out the more that they are themselves, the more that they're happy. And we should be looking at how we can make ourselves happy, because most people have this, I don't know about most, fair majority of people believe that happiness means that you're doing everything bad and wrong, and it's not right for what? The world, religion, ecology, right for the household, right for the family traditional timeline. And I'm here to say, I want to talk to you about your soul. I would like you to know that you can be more than what somebody else says you are. You're the one that's born in this body and no one else. Hi, how are you? I'm so glad to have you here. Again, what do you think volition means? What does free will mean? Give me a couple more seconds. I'm not sure why my screen is just did that. And so when I teach people, and which is one of the things I love, is to be able to help you look at life differently. But that means you have to learn to question, connect with that soulful part of yourself. And that means to look at something, and it's time to educate ourselves without having to be borrowing, hand down definitions of many things. Now, we do have a PIF today, a pay it forward. We actually have two pay it forwards. April Lynn has given one, and Spirit has given another. So if you'd like to have your name in the drawing, then just say PIF, please, and then we'll put your name in the drawings. We'll see. So I'm going to ask those that are my moderators to put that out there and type it in so people can see it. But if you have never had me give you a reading before, then you get your free one. Okay, we'll look at it that way. You get to have your free reading. Now, so, what is volition? What is free will? And I'm all about personal growth. I'm all about helping you wake up to ask the healthy questions, to get your power back by healing out those emotional chemical peptides. It is the chemical peptides, because you're chemical, okay? And it is when it gets locked into your cell, because your cell has the receptor of being angry. And if you don't let something go, it can become a temperament where you're stuck with this anger and you can't ever be happy. But I want you to understand, it doesn't matter where you're at. If your soul, and you have the soul's urge, and you begin to go, oh, yeah, I can't do that anymore. I want something more. And you're willing to put in the time and the effort into yourself by sitting with the emotions with a tool, sitting with the emotions without a tool, and you try to intellect without a tool, you will not drive the blood back up into your forebrain. You will not be able to process in a healthy way. You just make your brain worse. So you have a soul, right? And it beams itself into this physical form. This physical form has something that looks like cells, okay? And this is just a rock. But this particular, my screen, this particular thing is my cells, and we are got 50 trillion cells, okay? And on it, we have little receptors. And these receptors help you take in chemicals, peptides, which is emotions, but it also is like hormones and also like in medications and things like this. So when you take something, the cell already knows. It already knows. It already knows. And so if a cell is saying, I'm going to take in somebody else's anger, and it locks itself in like a key, then the information opens up, goes inside, turns on the cell to act and behave in a certain fashion. Okay. So that intelligence is already happening. Now, this is where you, as a soul, and the more you become a spiritual human, the more you allow yourself to wake up to realizing there's more than just, I have to get up, I have a routine, I have to do this, I have to do that. That is what's really considered a sleep. Okay. And a sleep is when you put yourself to sleep and you're not listening to your heart, and you're not listening to your soul, you're not listening to that part, because you keep waking up and this is somebody else's world, somebody else's matrix. And if you have the soul's urge, chances are you'll feel like you don't belong in your family. And you are meant to go, wait a minute, who am I? Well, we get caught up in these things called emotions. Now, volition, and I've asked you, what is volition? Volition is the faculty or the power of using one's will. But if you don't know you have a will, that's that willpower. We're going to be talking and teaching about classes about that. But it's the ability. So are you able to hold your pen? Are you able to make that next step? And some people, yeah, I stand up for my rights. Yeah, I scream, holler back. But on a soul's journey, it is transforming these chemical peptides, unlocking them from the cells, and putting in more light and love, joy, peace, harmony, and belief systems and things like that are and values that help you stay true to peace, harmony, love. You're hardwired for love. You're hardwired for joy. You're not hardwired for sufferings. You make yourself hardwired, but you can also unmake that. You can change that. So, do you have the ability to understand what programs or what is the chemical peptide that tells your cell that you have to always fawn, or you have to always, which is people please, or that I have to always do this, or I can't ever win a fight? So, when you think of using one's will, there's a certain amount of power behind it. And do you have the will? Okay. So people say, well, yeah, I do. And free will is this capacity to choose. So you have the power of choice. But when your programs say, no, you got to keep them happy, you got to quiet them down, you've got to be able to survive, then you're not really using your free will, your programs are. So as I look back, you can't hear it, but here you have an experience, let's say a very specific age, bam, this is what happened. So I've been working on my 3-year-old. Oh, wonderful. I've been working on my 3-year-old for a while now, and I've been healing the emotions. I've been looking at patterns that have to do with what do I keep repeating. And this is where, if you want to see something, you have to be able to see it with your spirit and not with your ego, because your ego will try to uh, do its old processing, intellectualize it away, store the emotion, because it doesn't know what to do with it. But as a soul, it knows what to do with that emotion. And if you use the body as a tool, you can process with these energies with grace and ease. And that free will. So I've been teaching people how to be not the charge, not the trauma, not the drama. Now, there's wisdom that's locked into these things that help you grow into making these healthy choices with your free will. And you have the will. So are you willing to do this? So one time, I was in an argument with somebody, and when the closer you are with somebody, the people that you love, the more you do not really want to have stress, the insanity in a relationship where you have to walk on eggshells, or it's about ready to break up, or it's about, oh, I got to solve a problem, or you have to always be head to head because you're really committed. Some of these can be stopped right here, bringing the blood back up to your forebrain and doing the tribal basics, moving the energy so that the energy is in harmony with you and you can become more in sync and more linked up and more in healthy alignment with people. So free will. And if you don't understand any of these things, then life every day, well, why is this happening? It came out of nowhere. This always happens, and always and never, and all these things start popping in to show your patterns. But the ability to make this choice, and I make my choices, but when you're in the thick of the live experience, and the live experience is, that's what it sounds like, is that all of a sudden, let's say I walk out there and I give my husband a hug, that's a live experience. He's telling me a joke, I'm laughing real hard, that's a live experience. Or the live experience can be in a healing term of things that you need to look at, and that's somebody comes in, let's say they start manipulating you by strategically putting words, and they use gameplays. And as I heal, I don't use gameplays. I don't believe in them. But when it's being done to you and they don't know that they're doing this, because that's just psychologically what you're supposed to do on a social skill level, you will have these auto responses. And these auto responses will take over. And if you she's in Tennessee, hi. They'll take over. And if you're not aware that they're running, then you won't be able to use your life force to protect yourself in a very more spiritual way. So my free will gets locked up into, I don't want this to happen to me again. Thank you. And this is what's happening. If my free will is, my will is used against me, my own will, I'm choosing to use my own will against me to make safety, security, stability, standing, surrounding space with the person, then I'm not using my free will. I did as a kid because I didn't understand things. I didn't have the capacity or it's another C word, all of a sudden it just escapes me. But our brains don't really get to develop until after a certain age. And so you're downloading up to basically the age of 7. And when you be able to look at life and to be able to understand it better, you will learn to ask better questions, or instead of being a victim mindset, you'll be in that strong mindset. So my free will, and I've watched this many times, this was a response, my first response that I used to survive in the family. And this isn't have to be a horrific story. You could just be as simple as being yelled at and parented and told that, that you have to do it a certain way. But especially when they take the love away as a reward and punishment thing, do as I say, I had somebody come up to me and they said to me, I'm trying to recall it, as they said to me, hey, they're hurt. You don't even know it. They're hurt. And this was done to me a lot years ago. And they want something. And in relationships, you need to bring stuff to the surface so that it can be communicated, so that you can both get on the same page. But if one is trying to control the situation, that's a whole different story. Now, so I was with a gaslighter all the time that did this. And so I had developed around 3 years old to fawn. So you got stress modes is what I refer to it as. So you got fight, flight, freeze, you got fornication, you've got fawn, you got flap. Well, this is what it looks like. And I got to figure out how to get the correct energy flow for words. So somebody says something and you don't want to run there. You don't want to go. So what does it mean to go there? To go there is to use your RTJP and think what they think, or think ahead. Well, if they said this gesture and they do that gesture, and this is what's been happening like all weekend. I've been watching energies of that stress mode of how do people comprehend, talk. Is it going to be autopilot? And I'm watching where somebody has no clue what's happening, but the other person has been stewing and brewing. Something set them off. And so their free will is now, they're not willing to want joy or peace. They're in that pain and suffering. The program is doing the using your will, and it can be using it to keep you safe. So at 3 years old, if I'm being yelled and screamed at and I don't want that anymore, I can then, oh, I got to figure this out. So I become a people pleaser. So I use the will that was so freely given around 3 years old that if I do this, then they'll stop doing the yelling, the screaming, or the coercing as it was as a kid to behave. Because, you know, I'm 3 years old and my mom has to work full time, which means I don't ever get to see my mom anymore. And I was put into babysitters, and that anxiety, you know, attachment, all these other things, whatever you want to label them. But you know, if somebody said jump, I'd say how high. I got to the point when, as I got older, that if I want them to calm down, I would know my first way of solving it was to people please. And when you get older, you're like, well, I don't people please. But here's the program. You don't even know what's happening. So you have its situation energetically starts kicking off. Your body starts to go, oh, here we go. Maybe your mind and everything else is not there, but the program will make you feel. And then in the next minute, you go there. You're like, oh, with fear, that means your energies are open. The energies between another person and you, that's what fell, is my other half of my scalar field program. Oh, well. Anyway, two energies cross over, and it's the shared space in the relationship. And if that energy comes up to you and all of a sudden it crosses over, you know what that signature of that person, how to behave. Now, if you wake up as a spirit being and you realize that your body and you are doing this and you can't stop it, that's a good thing, because your soul's going, did you see that? Did you see that? It's just an automatic thing. It's, you know, the button's been pushed and you're like, oh shit, yeah. But if I'm doing my thing, I'm happy and joyful, and somebody comes along and that energy field, let's say they're hurt, their emotion, they are a storm, they legitimately have a reason. But if it is not with you and it's with somebody else, it can still ignite. But the morphogenic field is that you have to morph into how you used your first time, that your safety. So if there is a signal from that particular person, all of a sudden you will not hear what actually is being said. Your brain will do the next best guess of, uh-oh, that means this. Now, you automatically will start running. But if you wake up, you're going to go, okay, I don't have to believe everything that I, think here. Okay. Did I actually hear that? Now, if it hurt, you will be able to stop, because how you process things, you will continue to take off. And those emotions of fear will push and push and push until you are in a very particular state of fear. And you have to think about the worst outcomes. You have to figure out, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Did I understand them right? Did I hear that right? And you could be in total shock. So I have been watching how, this is going on for about a month now, what we think we hear, as the filter comes in, goes through an old pattern. And you, like when somebody says something, you're like, what? Because your brain will fill in the blank. You've heard this with songs, and you're singing along and you're like, did they really say that? And then when you actually see the words, oh, no, they didn't. My brain interpreted. Somebody sent a message to me, and they were singing, and I heard something, And it wasn't what they said, but my brain still heard something. And when somebody says, no, this is what I heard, all of a sudden my brain can switch to, yeah, I can hear that. But if you're in fear, you're going to go into what you heard when into the root cause, which is usually within your youth. So I went back to my 3-year-old self saying, oh, this is what it is. Okay. And I'm certain of it. So now I have to gear up to protect myself even more. So now my free will that I'm able to do freely has now been compromised. So I got to be able to see many patterns. And one of the particular patterns that I was able to see was, oh God, it's been a while. So me and this person were talking, and again, it's family, it's love, and you will do more for people that you love. And because you don't know how your behavior can affect them, your habits of, let's say, leaving the toilet seat up or clothes on the floor, or me having long hair, I got hair all over the house. Some things you don't realize it's happening, and some of them you do. You leave cupboard doors open, or you don't, but put water on the dishes, and they grew up differently than you, but you can clash. Now, if you hear things that they say about you, that this is where some people can go dark. And as they are using their emotion of anger, they will express from the intolerance tube, they'll pull it out, they'll express your behavior. What do you do they don't like? And this they can't tolerate anymore, and they're unleashing their wrath. Okay. So as this energy comes out, it can be key things that have said. Your brain's going to interpret it because it's now going to be in a stress state. So you may not hear what you're saying or hear what you're hearing. And here what I'm saying is that I have several times have gone into a place and I'll think, oh, I don't want to order a BLT. I'll get a club sandwich. And all of a sudden the waitress will come. I swear to God, I said club sandwich. And somebody will say, and then when the club and then the BLT comes and I'm like, what's this? I didn't order this. And everybody at the table will go, yeah, you did. We heard you. And you're like, what? It doesn't make rational sense. But there are times you will say things you won't even remember that you said because your brain is in one gear and a program is running in another. So you have all of these things that are happening. But when you as a soul begin to see these things, you don't be shocked by it. It's part of awakening. So one time somebody was upset and we're having a discussion and it went to a particular dark place and they said something, they left, and I'm like, wait, am I really being blind here? What? Now, they were doing their best to express how they felt, and changes need to be taking place, or at least a discussion can be had so you can find like with me and my husband, it's a third option. His, mine, and then together, neither one of us compromises. It is to see this. Now, compromise means that you will have to give up your will. And are you freely willing to give up your will in order to make peace? Okay, take that statement. So I'm in a free state. And so now I'm going to be policing myself because let's say with this modern day age, it's like you're touching your phone too much, or you're paying attention to that thing and not me, and you can feel how they felt because they had told you with their energy. And so now you're in freeze state, the stress of freeze. Okay. And when you freeze, you want to hide. Okay. And freezing, you'll be in your head going, oh my God, I can't do this. And you go to pick it up, you stop yourself, and little fearful reminders of that particular feeling that was been had. And if you can pay attention to, you police yourself, you stop yourself because you don't want that person to say those horrible things about you because they're not horrible, but they think that of you. And because they think that of you, you don't want them to think that of you, and that's horrible. And you know that you haven't done anything wrong, And at the same time, you're doing your best to understand. So one situation is my friend is sitting on the couch, and I was always taught that when you're in a space, you're supposed to pay attention to the TV set, and but you don't talk. And at the end, you have a discussion, maybe or maybe not, depends. Because I didn't really learn this in my household. I learned this when I was dating or at a friend's house. And so you pick up different things throughout your life. And so then my friend is constantly on their phone, and but they're not talking, but they're just, entertaining themselves. And they were telling me something, and they go, and I can feel how, they don't like that I'm on my phone when we're watching TV. And I'm like, interesting. So as I paid attention longer, it was like, but this is how I can release. It's not that I'm not paying attention. That's an assumption. Well, I asked you questions throughout the show, and you were like, what? Huh? You couldn't answer. Well, why should they? Well, if they want to be there, they need to be there, and then they have to show me. No, do they really? And in some cases, yes. Like if you are actually coming together to watch a movie that you know that you're going to be having a deep discussion with, instead of them wishing they were someplace else, that's a different thing. And so you get comfortable with people, and so you start being you. And I had thought, what's the difference between being on your phone and watching TV and crocheting? My mother crocheted and knitted and craft and watched TV and did these things. What's the difference? Again, so as soon as I know somebody's telling me, I don't like that you do that there, you're not paying attention to me. Well, first of all, is it my job to entertain you? Number two, where did your family values or growing up where you were taught that you are not to, you have to, what's the right way and the etiquette of being in that space with somebody? Okay, so what happens again, if something is not being, your needs are not met, you're going to go down to the first three chakras, and then you're going to pull up and you're going to go, oh, that's what I learned. This is how it's right and wrong. This is da 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 da. And then you have to understand you're the one that has to go in and entertain yourself. You can draw people in, and you can have great entertainment with family and friends. But when you are relying on the outside to provide everything for you, then you become a very needy human, because your soul's like, can you hear me now? Can we be independent? Can we be happy? Can we be love? Or do we have to constantly be on guard? So getting back to being a people pleaser, you look, they're disappointed, you fix it. You give them what they want. Now, people say, well, I don't do that. Now, as I'm sitting there healing, I had this situation many years ago, and I remember sitting there going, oh my God. And so I began to police myself. So I went into freeze mode. I wanted to go into hide mode, but I couldn't. But I hid myself from expressing my emotions. Again, really listen to the word, what is freeze? And I wasn't breathing correctly, and I could feel, and I was judging myself, thinking they were judging me, because I had that a lot. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I would do this. Now, this habit of thinking, I fired and wired it, because that was part of my ego processing to protect myself. And so once I feel in a relationship that they don't like these things about me, they actually downright hate these things about me. They're nothing to be hated, but it annoys them so much that it's connected to other stories. So as that's boiling and brewing, I'm sitting there, freeze mode. I don't know what to say, because if I say anything, they will run and go, oh, it's because of this, and what they really hiding. And then when you hear that processing and you had no hidden agenda, again, I don't live that way. I don't choose to live that way anymore. That's part of being asleep. Okay, it's part of being a zombie, is when you don't hear and understand this. So I'm hearing, And so I began to write down the words that I was saying to myself in freeze mode. Oh, I can't pick that up. Oh, they're going to come in a minute. And my body be jumpy. My nerves are jumpy. Oh, God, yeah. And I would correct myself. And I also put it in an aversion. And one time I was coming home and I had borrowed someone's car, and they would always get pissed if I'm not home at a certain time and blah, blah, blah. And it didn't matter how much truth I told, it was what they were sitting in their mindset. So they've got to the point where they felt that they needed to be angry or upset or fight with you, and they've had it. Their intolerance tube is filled up, they've had it. My defense was to take my joy, hide it, pull up something and make me angry so I can sound like them. So I can I don't have to take on their projection, and this aversion later on, I'd be like, what's my temperament? I'm angry. Why are you angry? Because I can't show my joy, because somebody's going to get mad at me. That's a bad habit, so I had to heal that out. Now I can be joy and all of this. But these thoughts, and so as I began to think that what they said about me is true, even that's not, if for them it is, but if you were with somebody else, they wouldn't see it as that. It's whatever a story they were going through. You got all following, right? So fawn. So I would be there and I would be like, talking and responding, but I'm like frozen inside, but then I'm trying to come up with a plan to fix it. So I'm willing to dress differently. I'm willing to put myself in situations I don't like so that they'll be happy. I'll be running from here and there. Well, if I move this around, or if I do this or I do that, and I'm trying to convince myself to do these things. And so I'm coming up with a plan so that they will see that I'm putting effort into hearing what they're saying. Okay, but the programs of freeze and fawn are now taking over. Now you have to understand, as you begin to heal, you need to look at not just the negative emotions, but the stress mode language, the program that will keep you locked into. So even if you heal the root and you take out those emotional chemical peptides, you still have the programs that are stuck in the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop, or fornication words. So as I'm trying to fix it, I am willing to do this, but against my will. Now, one day I remember going, I'm willing to do anything. And then I heard saying, but it's against your will. You don't really want to use your will that way. Are you that afraid of them? No. Are you that afraid of losing the relationship? Yes. So there's fear. Yeah, there's fear. And I remember taking one of my tools and I began to use it and break down the fear. And then, but again, it took me a long time to see that what needed to be healed was the nervous system stress mode that I had my go-to, what I first developed in round 3. And it saved me once, I'll save me again. But if you can't see it, you won't understand what to heal. So hear me again. I'm in a situation, everything's fine, and love somehow is diminished. And all I'm seeing is how that person is hurt, or how that person doesn't like me, how they're going, well, you never show me attention, you're always paying attention to that phone, or, it's this. And a lot of people will go very dark and to blame and be hurt and will attack and say things that can hurt you to protect themselves. And you're like, what? Now, if you're a type of person, you'll match and mirror and you'll do the same thing, and then you can break up. But if you can hear it, notice how you respond. Notice how you're trying to preserve your thing. So for me, I would always go into freeze mode and I start cutting myself out of their life. They would tell me they didn't like this or they didn't like that. And I just lost my TikTok on my one phone again. And as that happened, You can lose connections and you want to connect again. You don't want to lose that, what you've already effort and time and stuff that you put into that relationship. So I would, but then because I'd be so hurt, I'd want to hide. So again, this freeze mode, this hide mode, that would come into play. And as that freeze mode began to happen, it would be very scary. So I'm like, okay, I've got to cut myself out. I will start hiding what looks like mine. So if I have a sweater that hung on the wall, I would remove it. If there was papers or a certain section that was mine, I would clear it so it was empty and clean. I would remove stuff that's me so they don't have any more to yell at. And it, and as a kid, you had to put your toys away, or they would be black bagged, and you never see those things again. Or if they get really mad, they'll break the Barbie's legs. And anyway, the point is that the horror or the fear that you feel. So I would always be in freeze mode. Now, what does this do to the physical body? A lot of damage, especially if you keep doing it over and over and over. It's like putting your foot on the brake and the gas, and eventually the brake will, you'll have to repair the brakes. But in the physical form, it's not always easy to repair. But you have to repair the energy, and the energy is now being invested in. This is where you go into spiritual debt. It's invested in those stress modes. So again, I had to heal out how I cut myself out of people's lives. But then I had to heal out how, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't do anything, because it was this memories. And again, the chemical peptides hold this. You hurt by what they said, and so you miss the whole point of understanding what they're actually saying. And most of the time it is this mirroring of, I'm lonely, I want some attention. But other people that gaslit is so that they can control every part of you. It's a different story. Okay. I've been in many situations about communications and things with people. So on the social skills, so I began to heal out these. Now, not only that I'm figuring it out. Well, if I do this, this, and this, and this. Now, this is the fawn kicking in with the frozen. So I got to get out of hide because I don't like this because it makes me feel insane. So which one of these? Safety, security, stability, sanity, serenity, and space, which is freedom. Well, I didn't, how do you help make sure you have your freedom and the space? But if you're compromising your will, so I'm willing to compromise my own will. I'm willing to say, I'll do these things even though I don't want to do them, but I'll do them because I love you. But I'm losing power. And this is where all of a sudden it feels like it's insane because no one's happy. So pay attention that if you're willing to do something against your own will, then you're going to be in spiritual debt. You are going to have to keep seeing this until you wake up, go and see it as your soul self and go, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that anymore. Now, how people would fix it was they'd get a divorce or they would do whatever. I'm saying because we're in that rapture, all that means is that all the frequencies of the people that no longer want to hold that old pattern of what is it, competition, conflict, and you have comparison, and you have guilt and shame, and you have to do it always this traditional same way, and you have to divide, gender problems, colored problems, the color of the skin, and religion, divide. That's all 3D. You have the opportunity to listen to your soul. And you can use tools like OMG, EFT, 6S, and chord switching, and many, many more to participate with this physical form right here and now, and to change your reality in if not in seconds, but in minutes. And if you begin to start, you're not going to have this muscle. So you begin, and it could be weeks, months, and you see it again. Oh, it didn't heal. Yes, it did. If you can get it down to 0 and you can learn to measure, then you'll start noticing how one slight word will change the perspective. But if you're asleep and don't see that, then it'll feel like nothing's happening. We are complicated beings. Okay, we are very complicated beings. But if you listen, that as you begin to heal, bringing the blood back up to the forebrain, bringing the blood back into your organs instead of just your visceral nerves going out into your arms and your legs, your limbs. Okay, if you begin to heal the root cause that has the charges, but it also has the stress mode language, the programs. If you break those down and you heal and you measure and you see it again, because when hell comes up, Spirit is saying, can you heal it now? So we can get your power back, so we can raise your frequency. I've done it enough now, and but to get to, you have to notice that you can stand as your human self, right? Or you can stand as your spiritual self, watching your human self in the ability of a gift of awareness, which we all have. Oh, hello. Which we all have. I'm going to teach you how to use it. I'm going to teach you how to heal. I'm going to teach you how to become your spiritual self so that you can look at it and use your gift of awareness in such a unique way that you'll stop and begin to listen, because you're building a soulful intuition and a higher self connection. You're becoming a spiritual human. So what do I want you to walk away from today? There's many beautiful things that Spirit has said to you, but the main thing was stress modes have a language. And if those stress modes are setting off your nervous system again and again and again, and you're wondering why you physically, mentally, emotionally can't heal or get out of the spiritual hellhole that you're in, then wake up a little bit further, because there's a back door. Your spirit is telling you, if you can begin to see this and use tools, you will be able to transform. Because I have now gotten to the point where I'm looking at whatever's going on, and it's very few, far in between, but when something does come up, I listen. I may take notes, but my thing was, in the stress mode, is I don't like to fight. I didn't like conflict. So I could feel that first part of that. I don't like to fight, so I'm going into flee mode. But I forced myself to stay and to take it. But I also feel the hide and the frozen. So I began to heal. So I healed, I don't want to fight. So then I healed that I wanted to run, because the chemical peptides will make you clean, they'll make you run, it'll make you just scream your head off, it'll make you want to hit yourself. And these are all of the overwhelming chemical energies, chemical peptide energies that are present. So I'm using my free will to be able to make choices and act independently from that relationship, the social skills, this and that. But I have to be able to say, how can I make this choice if I don't understand it? Well, I break down and use the tools to break down the chemical peptides that would normally make me like I can't make the decision I need to. I become very limited, indecisive, very fearful, paranoid. You heal that, you start to hold your power, your willpower, and your willpower to see and understand and get the new information instead of using your first, which is what you did as a kid, constantly coming in and saying, oh, we got to do this to survive. But you're rewriting the systems, the stress mode systems. So are you hiding? Are you freezing? And people are like, I have pride. I don't hide. Well, the pride is the ego thing, and that can get you to the point where you are still not using your will in your favor of growth. Do you understand? Okay. Any questions about what I said? So you are going to look at your stress mode, not just the emotions, not just the charge, but hear how you have the incident, but how do you survive? Do you go into trying to fix it, and or do you go and police yourself and then you correct yourself and then you compromise? Or are you just so sick of it, you're like, fine, fine, fine? These are different ways of being, but you have the choice of changing your outcome by changing the chemical peptides that is controlling your cells. Again, you can do this. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Amber. How are you? Hey, Brenda. Hi, everyone. Hope it's been a great day. Yes, it is. Great to see the gorgeous Brenda again. It's like, oh, you're welcome. We do have two free PIFs, pay it forwards, which means you have an opportunity to, if you want it, you just say put a PIF. And so I'm going to look over and I'm going to see. Oh, I got to open my thing up and see if my moderators have collected information. I know that Amy's coming on. April Lynn said she paid. I got to see what she's paid so that I know exactly what she's asking for. And okay, so let me just write this down. And to dig in is super important. So you have an opportunity of 25, 15, and 5. You can come on without having any video. You can just have audio. You can have it in the chat, 15 or 5. Each of those are different time differences. Pay it forward. You can give out a gift, any gift that you want. We have, like I said, we have 2 PIFs. And so we have Autumn that wants one. We're going to see if anybody else that wants one. Hi, Robin. Let's see, she paid for a chat, so I know that April Lynn has a chat. And then we'll put her there. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So we have Autumn and Vicky. All right. Now again, share, talk, communicate. If you get a free reading from me, this is if you've never had one. Oh, Joanna Psych, CC, Joanna. Hey, Joanna, are you still here? And have I ever given you a reading before? Because you may qualify to get a free reading, just so you know. All right. So, oh, my thing is now finally picking up the information. Oh my God, it's going nuts. Okay. So, Joanna, if you're still here, then if you tell me, if you know I've never had a reading before, you can qualify for a free one. If not, I'll put your name into the PIFs. So we'll go from there. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have Autumn and Vicky, and I have, again, no, you never had, so you qualify for a free one. So, Joanna, so have you ever heard me before give a reading? Because I don't give a reading like other psychics do. We work on wanting to help you heal, so we listen to what the soul wants, or if you have a very specific question, we're going to hear what your body or your soul has communicated about, okay? Let me just relook at everything. Oh, that's good. That's good. We have some people that have made appointments, so I've got to make sure to get that taken care of as well. And you can do private readings with me. That's up to you. And if you join Tribe, you can get a cheaper price on the readings. My phones are all now, except for this one, are just now giving me all the information that I should have gotten when I opened the phone, over an hour ago? That's bizarre. Hi, Robin. Okay, so Joanna, is there anything particular you want to talk about? So Vicky and Autumn, you both get a free reading. So you think about what you want me to address, or just say Spirit, and I will go ahead and give you what Spirit wants. Well, let's get those done, and let's see what, because if Joanna wants to wait, then I can give somebody else a reading so she understands. But I will give her that. Now, if you want to hear it again, you can hear it free. Again, you just go over to Medicine Woman Soultion. That's Soultion over on YouTube. Like and subscribe and share if you want, but you can watch it as many times as you want, and you can even give me feedback. Help the algorithm. We'd like to get up to 1,000, people. That'd be great. That'd be great. So says she'll do what Spirit wants, and then Vicky, we'll see. And Joanna, there must be such a big lag, because I haven't gotten a response yet. That's the only thing about this lag time. This is why I offer to have it so that you can come on the show for a video. It's up to you. But again, this is a free one, and you're going to get your yours if we can get this communication proper. Vicky says spirit is what? Oh, where'd my screen go? Hello. That's bizarre. Health issues. I'd like to schedule a reading. Okay, before we do that, would you like me to give you your free reading? Okay. Because a quick one, you could end up hearing a lot of information as well. You just have to go to Facebook Messenger or Messenger itself, and then we can set up an appointment through that way. Okay. So again, yes. Okay. All right. So now that I've got a permission, I will go ahead and do the reading for Joanna first, and we'll go there, and then we'll go over to. Did she stay? I'm just curious. Did April Lynn stay, or did she go? Because if she stayed, I will do her next. I have a knot in my thing. So where is Miss April Lynn? I don't know if she stayed or not. Wow. Okay. Cannot get this knot out. It's lagging quite a bit on your end too. Gosh. Now understand that if you go on YouTube, there might be a little bar. You may have to bring it all the way to the end so you can get caught up with me. That I do know on YouTube. I don't know about the Facebook or TikTok or anything. But with YouTube, I know that if you can you can move the little bar at the bottom. Okay, I'm kind of obsessed to getting this unhooked. I don't know why. I don't really want to use this one without, so that means just put it down and grab another. It's not like I don't have a bunch. And pendulums are I like to use them. So we are going to just grab this one. Okay, here we go. So Joanna, when it comes to health, I'm looking at this. They said that your physical form is based on certain emotional component. I'm looking at this. There's a broadcast. Somebody is always yelling. Somebody is always instructing. There's just this energy that has come out all the time. I'm looking at a broadcast. I'm looking at two particular broadcasts. One of them has to do with how your parents, as you grow up, how your parents and you have been. And there's a certain reaction. Okay. There's a certain reaction. And with the parents. So if you can pay attention to that certain reaction, do you have to feel like you got to people please them? Is that one of the requirements they want that says, oh, look, she's showing me respect. Okay. Now they're showing me another one, that second one, that has to do with how you do towards yourself. So if you have this broadcast that they're saying, I'm blah, 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 and you realize that you have to people please without knowing, or maybe you're paying attention, you do, but towards yourself, you're supposed to let things play out. As you let things play out, you're going to notice that you always feel like, where'd my happy go? Now I'm looking at your free will, and it is in this, I am willing to do this, but you're willing to doing it against your will. So you're not really wanting to, but you do it. But you're like, this is what relationships are. This then becomes your relationships that you have with other people. Does any of this make sense? Again, I have to wait for the delay, but does it make sense? Okay. Now I'm looking at this. You have learned that you have no control in a relationship. When somebody has that type of signature, when somebody acts this way, you will fall for them because you love your parents. You loved your parents as a kid, whether you love them now or not, but you loved them. And what happens is this energy is that you see this as you get older and to others, and it's familiar, and this is how we fall in love. But We may not want our parents, but we can't help because as a kid, we're programmed to say, I choose this person. And somebody else goes, well, why? Because I choose this one. Because it is all in the programming. She said, yes. Now, you're like, but I don't want to carry this into my adult relationships. Okay. Now I'm looking at the health. I'm looking at the gallbladder that says that I have to be the one to self-regulate all the time. Is that true? Is that true that you have to self-regulate? And that's fine. You can save face. You can make sure everything's better, but your will is being used against you. And when the will is not doing this, I look at the liver. There's some things going on in there because you got to put on a mask, and you may have insulin resistance, or you may have a fatty liver. You may have, these are all different things. I'm not saying that you have it. I'm saying that the energy is not flowing through and the liver. Okay. And then I'm looking at your spleen. Your spleen is constantly feeling it's being attacked. And so your immune system is not able to support you because your energies of how you've had to respond to be alive when you were younger is now affecting you. It's that putting your foot on the brake and the gas for a long time. And now it looks like the body's wearing down. Now, I want before I go, because the thing is what I'm seeing is that it's towards yourself, and that you can start beginning to heal how you have to take action. You have to change it. You know, I want you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to take my right wrist. And this is where you can use your body, and you can take your right wrist and you can go, okay, okay, okay. I have to do this because it's a very strong action. And you can feel how the chemicals, peptides in your body are like, I got to do this. I got to either run or I got to take action. I got it. Right. So you're going to hold up to your right hand. You're going to find the second position. I use my fingernails, and then I choose the second position. I place that thumb in that second position, not in one, but in two. And it's under the thumb on the right hand. And you're going to push in deep, not soft, deep. And then I'm going to place my pointer finger in here, create the letter C, safety, security, stability. Put the heel of the palm, okay, on the forehead, let the fingers drop. Now, the main thing that I'm feeling is like, I have to take action. But I want you to notice there's a certain amount of talk about failure. I failed. Something about failing, okay? You didn't get your desired results. You didn't see the efficacy. And so then you feel this particular failure. And it's like, where'd my happy go? Where'd my happy go? This is like a constant, annoying talk, but I don't know if you can hear it because you've heard it so many times. Now it's background din noise that you won't even realize you're having. But if you can come up and realize what you're saying to yourself, to program yourself, I want you to measure it. So if you can measure that I feel like failure, or they telling me I failed, you can feel the charge. That's what you're going to measure. It's a 10. Ugh. You're going to sit there and go, oh my God. And I want you not to go, it's because of this. That means you don't want to heal. I want you to just sit with that feel. Sit with that feel. Now hold the tool and breathe and feel. You may have to move your eyes around so you can see like the direction of the energy. Like I said, it's being broadcast at you. This is somebody who's spitting, they're throwing energy at you. They're yelling. You can feel a force maybe, but just sit with it. Get it down to 0. Okay. All right. Hopefully that made sense to you. Now I'm going to go over and did April Lynn, did she say she was here? Or did she go to sleep? She might have gone. She's paid for chat, and that's all I see. Okay, I don't see it there. I'm just going to double check to see if she went into any other room. If that made any sense, or if you need me to clarify something, because your health is very important. And Joanna, I'm glad that you want to invest. Like, you can, like I said, go to Facebook, go to my business page, Medicine Woman Soultion, and message me, and then we can communicate from there. Okay. All right. I'm gonna. She might have gone to bed, so I will jump over to. What do you want me to do? Autumn and Vicky, they're telling me if you could just hold off because there's something going on and I'm just going to figure out what they're doing. So again, Joanna, to re-listen to this again, you can't see it, but on the YouTube one, they have a clock. And the clock that sits behind me will be your timestamp. Okay. You're welcome. You are worth it. Go heal. Sit with it until it's 0. Okay. Till you know it, but not that it's charged. The charge. You want to separate certain things. Okay. So you can go to YouTube and you'll have your name. It'll be written as Joanne or Joanna or however the moderators do it, but you will then see a timestamp. So it was like 10 something. Okay. And we'll get that up as soon as we're done with the show. All right. Wow. What do you want me to do? Spirit is saying that normally I would just Amy, I don't know what's going on, but there's a push. I don't know if it's the loved one from the other side. Normally I wouldn't take you so early, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of people, but you can if you want, but you have options. Okay, I'm just going to go get the link and go from there because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. Let me just hit this one and go to, sure, Brenda, you can find it. Hi, Amy Arbuckle. Okay, I was talking about Amy, but Amy, if you ever have Arbuckle, have you ever had a reading from me before? If not, I'll give you a free reading and we can do it right now. Otherwise, I'm going to get the other Amy. So Amy Arbuckle, have I ever had a reading? Have you ever had a reading from me before? That becomes the question. So we made another Amy appear. We'll see. This leg is awful. Hi, Amy Arbuckle. Have I ever read you before? If not, I'll give what you want right now. No. Okay. Would you like one? And you said yes, just double checking on the permission because I don't do it unless I get full permission. Again, I don't go into anybody's field. I just hear what your soul wants me to take care of or loved ones to come through. However we choose to do it. Okay. So this is what we got. No, you don't want a reading? What? Whoa, hold on. I don't know what that means. I'm going to say yes, you want a reading. And I'm going to start it now. If not, just holler, no, 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 and I'll stop. Okay. There is some great contempt, whether you have a contempt for somebody or somebody has contempt for you, but there's a contempt. And it's like, you seem to be, have a person in your space. Oh, God, how many? It's like this is part of the temperament. I don't know if that's you or somebody else, but they always have contempt. Ugh. So you have to understand how that's defined because what I feel here is the moment somebody gives contempt, you then go and check yourself if you did it wrong. Does that make sense? Do you feel like I got to check myself? So somebody will give like a look or contempt, and you go over and go, oh my God, it's me. And then there's a part of you that believes those people that have contempt are right. Well, don't. It's their problem. Do you understand that so far? But what then occurs is that what you do to yourself. It's what you do to yourself after that. Now, this is a very important point of what you do. So do you go into fight, flight, freeze, fawning? You go into like feeling the autocorrect. I got to correct this because this isn't right. Well, if you feel like you have to correct it and you have to reach out and change the way they think about you, you are already losing power. Okay. And so I'm looking at how your 3-year-old self felt so deficient when these people would give you that, and you didn't know what to do with that energy. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You have been controlled by an energy. The energy is saying to rest. Whether you see it or not, your child part of you had saw duress, and it can be a coercion. It is to keep pushing you and say things, even if it's nice, but push, 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 and all of a sudden, fine, and you'll just do it. You'll have this explosion where you will be duressed into doing what they say. I feel like you also have a gaslighter in your life. Does this make sense? Okay, so understand that I'm looking at how emotions control you. Do you get that? So what I'm looking at is how parents, loved ones will say things so you don't leave. So that it'll sound like, yes, I have to do this. You're going against your own will. Do you understand what I'm? Yes. Okay. Because you understand that, I want you to be able to you're going to have to pay attention to this install and these words. So as soon as they say it, feel how your body's like, I can't go anywhere. I have to. I'm committed. I'm forced. I have no choice. So write down specific words. So in this case, they'll say these things, and then I feel like I have no choice. They keep them around the homestead. So you have to, so as soon as you get the gem, the key word, I want you to be able to become aware, use your gift of awareness, and go, they just did it. Now, if you can't hear what they said, but you can feel it, that's good enough. We'll begin there. And if you can feel that like, oh my God, I can feel this. I can feel this control. I can feel this. Or you can actually understand gaslighting. I can feel this, because they're putting in their reality into you to go you against your own will. You're going to go right wrist, first position soft. You're going to go, oh my God. Oh, you measure that feel. Don't go because it's this and this and this, because that's not healing. Okay, so as you're holding right wrist, first position, okay, under the thumb, you place, under this thumb, you place this thumb, and you place it nice and soft. Don't push deep. Finger in palm, create that letter C, safety, security, stability. And it's the heel of the palm that you're going to put on your forehead, and you let your fingers drop. Now, I want you to get into the feel to heal, okay, and use a tool. Should probably be a hashtag. Feel to heal and use a tool. As you begin to do that, there's another thing besides that feeling. And once you get that feeling, you are meant to train yourself. When they say these words, it makes me go. It's when they push, 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 push. Now that's another feeling. When you feel the duress of push, 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 you are also going to be able to measure that and still have the same point, but you have to measure. 10 being the worst. There's the word. Okay. Oh, I can feel the push. Oh my God. You can measure those too. Write them down and hold that and focus on the feel the heal. All of a sudden, the tool will be able to bring the blood back up. You'll be able to feel better, because it'll get down to zero. Don't let it get down to it's like, it's okay. No, because it'll grow. Feel it down to zero. Get that life force back so that you don't have to go against your own will. Okay? Thank you, Amy, for letting me read you. Now you can re-listen to this again. You go over to YouTube, find Medicine Woman Soultion. That's Soultion. And you can't see it, but the YouTube one has a clock behind me that has a timestamp. So you're around 11:08 or 11:07, whatever it was. But you'll have your name, Amy Arbuckle, and the timestamp, and then you just go there and just watch it as many times you need. Heal, heal, heal. You are so worth it. Okay. Thank you for letting me read you. Now, I'm going to recheck again. Do you want me to do the... No. Okay. So, wow, there's a strong, I have to understand this. You're welcome, Amy. You're worth it. Okay. This energy is very interesting, because I feel like I'm supposed to send a link and we're supposed to do Amy. And then it's like, no, we need to go over and take care of Autumn and Vicky. And then it was like, no. And so I'm not sure what this energy is for whatever reason. I'm going to stop for just a second, and you can laugh at my colored pants, because I had a shirt that matched, and then I didn't like the shirt, so I changed my shirt. But I will be right back. So give me 1 second. I will be right back. Interesting. All right, so I go through the other room and I felt like, who has a UTI? Who has this urgency but can't go? Who has this feeling there's an urgency? So I'm feeling this energy, and let's just sit with it for a minute. Let's just sit with it for a minute. I just saw myself come back in the room. I even beat my own. It's so funny because the lag will be bad. My husband will be out there watching me, and then I'm standing next to him. He goes, "You're still doing your show?" Nope, it's over. Possibly you. Okay, because there's this urgency. All right. I am going to let's look at this. We're going to look at it this way. Even though there feels like there's this urgency, there is this deficient. I don't have enough to do this. And so the body, when you feel this deficiency, there's a certain amount of lofty energy that's pressing on you. And when you begin to feel that, interesting. I haven't been on my computer in a while, and it says, are you sure you want to cancel transfers? I don't remember asking anything to be transferred. And then you need permission to move something. This is a clue, because the destination file to transfer something was denied. So something is being transferred without your permission, because I didn't ask for it. Oh, April Lynn's here. Maybe that's what we're supposed to wait for. Okay, so what's this about? It's about an auto response, and you're waking up to, I don't want to do this. So now that I see April Lynn, was that what we're waiting for? I think so. Okay, you ready? You want just spirit to choose for you? You probably sent me something. Let me just double check to make sure you and you didn't just already tell me. Nope, spirit wants. Okay, no problem. No problem. We can do this. We can do this. With this, there's a fight mode. Let me ask you about fighting, Miss April. Do you like to fight? Do you not like to fight? And as I look at the stress mode, okay, as I'm looking at this stress mode, they're saying there is this fight that you have to have and you don't want to have. And so I said, do you have to have skill building? No. Is this fight. This fight is that people, you will notice that people have this fight in them. And I'm not saying that, I love you too. It's not this, see, because now all of a sudden I'm getting all sinus issues. So this fight mode is towards yourself. So instead of having it towards others, it's towards oneself. Does that make sense? And because you have this towards yourself, I said, are you even aware of it? And they said, it is what the parents would do. This is so there's this self-talk that apparently you need to learn about, because you want to avoid a fight, but that creates a war within. Does this make sense? And it's not the obvious, but it pushes you into taking action. It pushes you to take action. And Then you go into freeze mode. Now, this is where I feel the body is doing you injustice, because the freeze mode causes your gallbladder and your triple worm to go off. The body then gets this historical issue, and I feel like this could be an old one. Did you say you had cancer when you were younger? Because I feel like this is a very old, because like I can feel the lymphatics affecting my contacts right now. Um, and the body wants to become healthier. Now, its number one job, the subconscious mind's number one job, is to preserve the body. And every time it does, it goes into fight mode. And it has to fight, but it's fighting with itself. Okay. Okay, thank you. Now, here's what I'm getting is this fight. And I said, is it actually toward yourself? They said, it is fighting because I don't like when they say those things about me. Okay, don't like what they say about me. So whatever their issue is, they will point it out, and you will then believe them. Now we're looking at that part of you that believes, not the one where you're a warrior now and you're like, I don't have to believe their stuff. But it is, I need to be when you were younger, you needed to be understood, so you would fight. But it wasn't that you were fighting, is that you had something to say. And then you could see, and this is clearly the aunt and the mom thing. Okay. But you believed them. And as you believed them to some degree, you felt incompatible with yourself. Like there was something wrong with you. Now, here's the kicker. You did not want them in your space, so your body would create an aversion. And what I noticed is that the body says is that I can't expand myself. Okay. I can't make myself important. I can't make myself words be known, even though I know I'm right. Okay. But you can't. So you can't really expand the importance of self. And because that was capped, and they're showing me at 9 years old, you really believed that the outside was right. And then you felt this deficiency. Now I'm looking at this deficiency. And the only way that you could protect yourself was to either gain weight or put something in your space that made you feel safe. So if you could look at something that made you feel safe, then it was like, I can protect myself against those. And whoever those are, well, I think the representation is like your aunt, if that makes sense. I don't know if you're here or not. This delays thing sucks. But what I'm seeing is this chase, and it keeps going on and on and on and on. And even though you've healed this and you've healed that, but they're saying you have to look at the fight mode. Now, this is a stress. You have to fight inside your head and win, or you have to fight directly, or you have to constantly see people fight in front of you, but you're fighting with how they're fighting. So there's a particular fight mode. Now, this fight mode needs to start being dressed, because you can feel how people have crossed your territory of who you are and what represent April Lynn. I said, how would we want to heal this? They go, she has to first understand that this fight, or the fight mode, or the stress mode of fighting, is she's stuck in an arrested development. And she's stuck with believing the lie that she's deficient and that they always win. Because they said not only is 9-year-old important, but your 2.5-year-old. And it felt deficient because it was told it was deficient. What's wrong with her? And I don't like when parents talk negative about their children, when they have the babies in their arm or their children in their arm, and the doctor says this, or somebody will say that, no matter where they are, because those children read energy. So I'm picking up around 2.5 years old, you felt that you could not relate, And so you felt incompatible. And then when they used that energy directed at you, you were fully aware that it was at you, you believed you felt deficient. Now, how does that help you now? Is that you have to see them as bullies to help you understand, as the person you are now, that that part is a bully. Now, this central meridian keeps shutting down, or I want to say does not light up. So you're going to have to really make sure you hold this one. To heal this central, I want you to be able to hold your chin, and what you're going to pay attention to is how you feel bad. There's just this infamy of that you're bad. There's something wrong with you, okay? So you're going to do this. But you have to be able to measure this infamy, because what happens is that they want to wound your pride so that you stay down. And then the other thing that you're going to do is, it is the language that they use, let's say in your ex relationships and things like this, that are being used to say things to hurt you, but keep you around so you go nowhere. So you feel like this trapped animal feeling type thing, that it's insanity. And they want your will. They want to use your will. And so you're going to do right wrist, first position, soft. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but hopefully it does. Thank you, Amber. She always speaks straight to my soul. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. All right. There are things that need to be done that you could do for yourself. You can do a lot for yourself. And right now, it's important that you raise that vibration, because you don't want to be stuck. So it's time to get you unstuck. It's time to raise that vibration. So, because when you're teetering, you want to move forward. Let's say you're doing a lot of spiritual work, and yet you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, or you're stuck. That means that there's some belief. In this case, there's a stress system that is to keep you locked into keeping you safe, but it's not. It's actually now working against you. Okay. So let's look at this. Now I guess I can take Autumn and Vicky. Are either one of you here? Are either one of you here? So now I understand what that was about. That makes sense. So this is from April Lynn. We just read. She gave this gift. We are going to give it to Autumn, and Spirit has given another, and that'll go to Vicky. So we're going to see who's here, Vicky or Autumn. Whichever is here, we will do. Whichever one speaks up, we'll do. Okay. Autumn. Okay. Now, Autumn, you said what Spirit speaks, so let's find out what it is. You have a contemplation. So contemplating. So somebody's asked you a question and you haven't quite answered it. But is that where we want to go? Not necessarily. Okay. On to the next one. The reaction. You feel flattered, but yet you can't do it. I don't know what that is. Is that what you want to keep focusing on? No, keep going. Now this one is about no, I can't do it again. So you are daily, and I think it's where you're living. I think that's where you're living. That you're spiritually, you're like, I can't do this again. I can't do this again. Okay, now they said the word spiritual. Let me see if I can find something. Because it's not just an emotion. Let's find out what's going on. What is it that you say that you can't do again? And do you have belief systems in religion? Wow, April, and I finally got a response. No, I do not like to fight. I think your little arrow's way over there. So if you see on the bottom, move the red arrow to the end of the video and you catch up with where I'm at. But so autumn. The reason I say this is because it feels like somebody told you that you did wrong, or you did do something wrong, or you didn't do anything wrong, but you believe you did something wrong. But it's like you're sinning, you've done something wrong. So your consciousness is getting the best of you. And then it's like you feel like you have to ask for forgiveness. Transgression against your own conscience can only be known as for each individual. Did you feel like you did something that you feel like God should be mad about? God's mad at you. If you feel that God is mad at you, do you feel like you can't forgive yourself? If you feel that you can't forgive yourself, then you are going to have to understand this. Is that in the present moment, okay, let's talk about not past, let's talk about now. Do you see something that other people have that you want? Okay, you saw what I saw, so we're going to bring this in the present now. And is there a part of you that wants what they have, but yet you can't, you're not going to do anything legal to get it, but at the same time, there's a part of you that has that interesting feeling. Now, this is a spiritual issue because you desire something that you can't have, and so you're like, but I want this. You see other people that have it. Spirit is saying that it's creating a great amount of stress because you're looking at how you don't have the end results. So you're going to go, I want this, but then you're looking over and going, oh, I don't have it. And that's where you're going to do R2D. I don't have it. And you can't stop focusing on how you don't have it because you're reminded I think it has to do with place of living. I don't have it. And so then you start to go there, R2D, right? Second position D. And then you go into, okay, what's the other part? It's like you can feel the stress, the constant stress of every day being reminded you don't have it. It's the stress, and it's just so stressful. And what happens is that you're in a fight stage and you're telling yourself how much you don't have it. You need to go over to the left side, second position, deep, and feel that you feel like you have to fight. I have to fight for it. I have to fight. I have to fight. And I'm fighting mad that I don't have it. Again, I feel like it's the place of where you're living. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, you go heal that out because it is basically where your attention is, because your will is in fight mode, that you're not using the will to manifest to create what you want. Even though you are in, I'm doing this, but the feels and the stress mode are controlling how you're not getting it on a spiritual level. So we have to look at the spiritual issue that's stopping you from getting your heart's desire, because your heart cannot stay in alignment because you're using, I don't have it, to compare, to compete, to conflict. Okay, Miss Vicky. Okay, so you have a certain amount of addictions of emotions. So our responses, are you talking about responses? So it is, I'm just going to stop your reading. I got to teach Pete here just real quick so you understand, Vicky. Watch the movie, What the Bleep Do You Know? And they'll talk to you and you'll learn that the cells, if they are given certain things, okay, no problem. If you don't think about it, it falls away. But if you're constantly firing and wiring, and you have memorized yourself as this person, you're going to vibrate as this person. So then when all of a sudden you don't have a certain thing that reminds you of yourself, you will then wake up in the morning, oh yeah, I gotta be angry, or I gotta this or that, or I gotta behave this way, or I gotta be, and then all of a sudden you'll start it up, and we become addicted to particular patterns, particular emotions, temperaments. We become addicted to certain things. Okay, oops, my phone is going to die. I need to charge it. Hopefully this will charge. Give me a second. So what happens is you're plugging yourself into the wrong source and it's draining you. So Vicky, you have to begin to become aware of your addictions. Now it's a different form of addictions, whereas let's say smoking is an addiction. No, that addiction is covering up that what you first were addicted to. Thank you. So what you were addicted to first, you understand? So we want to look at what you're addicted to. So as I look at this has to do with sympathetic related, which means you have a big heart. But so there's an understanding that needs to take place that when you're listening to other people's pain, it's you hear the sympathy and you want to fix it, or you want to, you're doing your best to understand it. But there are times when people will give you a sob story so they can get what they want. So the sympathy dwells in this negativity versus positive. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Because of this, and I'm going to read this is help you feel the sympathy for by talking about all the good things in their life, making them sure that they're doing this is their own life as well. They won't give you or the other person time to sympathize. So it's like you have to make sure you help those feel better. It's like you got to puff them up, you got to stroke their ego. You got to, and there's this part of you is like, I don't want to do this anymore. You don't mind making somebody feel better, but you can kind of feel like they need to be fed. And it's not that you're lying, it's just that you're not meant to be that source. So they're basically sucking off your teeth. They're just there. Do you understand? And because of this, there's this habitual fear that if I don't show up this way, I'm a bad person. Now, when they have you feel sympathy for them, you begin to feel overpowered, but you got to first wake up to that. When you begin to hear them and you feel like, oh my God, and you oversympathize, because when it first starts off, you're like, oh my God, yeah, I totally relate. And this is relationships. But then if you do this too often, then you lose your personality and you'll have to do it a certain way. So the first thing they're telling me is that it's the way they speak, whether they speak in criticism towards their self, or it's how they speak, and then you're like, oh no, that's not true, and then you have to puff them up, you have to make them feel better, you have to stroke their ego. And your body is saying that if you don't do it, and if they're in a bad day, then somehow it'll go into a duress state, pushing you into saying and being. And you're kind of like, I'm not your feeding tube here. I don't know if I can explain that correctly. Now, normally this is found in oversympathy, being oversympathized. Your gut reaction is you're supposed to sympathize with the person, meaning you'll help understand what they're saying, but it doesn't mean you have to give your life force or act a particular way so they feel better. It's actually not your job. Now, you can show up to help some, but when some people start relying on it way too much, then it becomes very draining. Does this make sense? So if you can make sense with that, and then I would go right wrist, second position, soft. Okay. notice how you have to oversympathize. So you can sympathize, you can understand it, but when all of a sudden it becomes a job and a requirement in order to be their friend, you're losing a certain amount of life force. Okay. And then your happiness has to disappear. And so it spends all the time on them and none on you. I don't know if that makes sense. Is there any, they said yes, and there's a part of you that's learning how to discern, and that you're looking at it and you're like, God, I'm not sure if that's it or not. And you caught yourself, but you're not sure. In that not sure, if you can measure it, then you're going to go left wrist, second position, soft, because you're because you're learning discernment right now, and versus judgment. And if you feel like you're judging, then you can begin to hold L2S. But if you feel like you're trying to make the best of what they're saying, because see, you're breaking yourself out of this puzzle. You are breaking yourself out of this puzzle, if that makes sense. In that pattern. Okay. All right, we're doing quite well, and yeah, it looks like all right. So just reading April Lynn's stuff. She said that yes, I didn't fit in. Okay. So again, what happens on YouTube is that there is this little red bar on mine, and it's the bottom bar. And if you jump in late or you jump in at a different time, I may be on 15 minutes. But so pay attention to that bar, slide it all the way to the end so you can get up to the current time with me. That's a lot of times with the slag in YouTube. Okay. Okay. I've noticed almost every day, that the house across the street, I haven't heard it for like forever. And I remember when they first installed their alarm, it'd go off like every day. And I haven't heard it in years. And another day I go, oh, I haven't heard that alarm in years. And then all of a sudden now it's been going off every day. So when you can bring things in and out of your awareness, I hate to be their neighbor because I can imagine how loud that is. But anyway, so let's bring on Amy. And I thank her for her and April Lynn, that they are consistent and they actually help create the show for me and with me to some degree. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
All righty. So you are oh God, I got a bunch of things going off that I will not say out loud. So hi, how are you and how can I help you?
Oh, I'm good. This weekend has been interesting.
Okay.
It's was our town festival this weekend, and I have not gone downtown for the parade in years.
Okay.
And I did this weekend. I did yesterday, or yeah, yesterday. And I sat in front of the building that my mom and dad owned.
I did see the video. Yep.
And I sat there and I'm like, it felt like home. It felt okay. I didn't get any pangs, twangs, or anything like that. And then all of a sudden I could smell the shop smell.
Okay.
The combination of perm solution, hairspray, mold, my dad's aftershave stuff. It was like, what is this? Because the building's been remodeled for like 15 years. So I know none of that smell is there.
Right. Okay. So when a brain surgeon, because your brain does not have nerve endings, so you won't feel it when they're poking around in your brain.
Hmm.
Okay. So you be awake, they'll numb the area, cut it open, and then they can literally touch and see and follow the pattern of where not to touch. Let's say they want to help take out the tumor, but all of a sudden, they touch and your arm starts twitching. Nope, 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 we're not going to cut in that area. So they'll touch and feel around and leave little red markers. They can even induce fear and induce a smell and induce a memory. Whew, they're like, oh my God, and a person will immediately talk about it. for you, if you're intentionally understanding on a spiritual level that you're taking and putting yourself in that place, you are going to be recalling particular memories, especially smell, because we, like animals, they have to sniff their territory to make sure it smells like home. If not, they mark it. So that's one thing. Now, why did your soul need to project this out so that you could smell these smells? Becomes the question for me. So did I answer to you the degree of why? So now we're going to ask, and the soul in this case was that it is to help you understand how you got manipulated. So if somebody's manipulating you, you can put in your little filing cabinet. When I smell hairspray or any of these things that I just described equals manipulation. Your spirit wants to teach you in a very specific way. And if I said, is there more to the story? And they said, yeah, because it also said that if I smell these things, it equals deficiency. And it takes you back to feeling how deficient you were. So you can use this also, again, as a tool, not just writing it in, but when you begin to feel, if you smell these and you begin to feel, you can start hitting some peak moments. And that is even if you're not doing it through your dreams or that, but you could be sitting there and let's say it comes up and you're watching a TV show and this person is really making another person feel deficient because they had it coming to them. Your body is saying, hey, I'm going to show you a program that's running that you can no longer hear because you've memorized it. Now, as a soul, you get to go, oh, I know this. So you'll be sitting there watching TV and you're like, oh God, yeah. Now you can over-identify and relate and you can kick off the mirror neurons and you can become an object is the very first thing they said. And you could be going into a pile of a mess. But, you don't have to. So you're sitting there and so you're watching this and all of a sudden you smell these smells. All of a sudden you're going to go, oh, I need to pay attention. Thank you, Spirit. And you're watching in the, oh my God, they're treating this person like an object. I so remember that. Here you're going to your peak. And this is how you do it in a whispering opportunity instead of having a live experience pitch lab. You understand? So then you would then hold like left wrist, third position, deep. Okay. And if we could remember this timestamp, send this to Genosika. Tell her to hold L3D based on the fact that she feels like an object, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then after the parade, the day before, I had gone for my walk and the guy got across the street. He and his wife their 60th anniversary is like Wednesday. So they had a party and they invited me over and I went, both neighbors. And then people that I normally have this growl, like, do not like these people at all. There was nothing. It was not.
Right. So you didn't have that response. Now, this is a weird part. I normally don't correct you. I don't need to correct you, but the spirit wants me to correct something. You said 60 years, and you wrote me 72 years.
No, okay. Then the ones next door was 72 years yesterday.
Okay, and so the one you're referring to is
60 across straight across the street.
So Spirit is saying that when people are communicating, they may miss parts of the information. So have you had anybody recently correct you on what you're telling them? Okay, or it's coming up. Do you understand? Or it could have been a thing of the past. But you'll be here. This is where you are in your now. You're talking about now. And they're given a piece of information that you last spoke to them about. And they feel like I got to correct you. And they miss the whole point. See, I understood what you said because we got more information. But I feel like people will begin to treat you like an object. You're the one that shared in the information, but they're stuck on the very last thing that you said beforehand, and they're not letting it go. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So because of that, I want you to understand there is a little bit of a phobia. It doesn't feel like a big one, but it feels like a little bit of a phobia. They said this is where all of a sudden you want to flop. Okay. So instead of fighting or running or wanting to hide and freeze or people please, you flop. And this is where you feel like you are burnt out, you can't speak. You know your words better, but you are meant to investigate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see where I did that yesterday.
Okay, now I want you to explain to me the words. I want you to
Uh,
get into the feel of like as it's happening, do you feel like you can't speak? What is going on? What words do you hear?
can't speak, like frozen almost. Like I'm listening, I'm paying attention to everyone and everything. And the one lady, she had her we were eating outside, we were having ribs and all kinds
Yum.
of good picnic food. And she was she had her plate on her lap and she was getting up to put her plate on the table and it flipped on the ground.
Okay.
And I'm like I was
All
like
right. You felt what?
I was like frozen for her.
Okay. But I want you to understand that sounds more like a freeze mode. So flop in this case is where you have to submit or collapse. Um, it's shutting down, so you're shutting down the body, you're shutting down the mind's response, and you become overwhelmed and stressed, or you begin to perceive a threat.
Oh, 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 oh.
Like like when some animals will play dead or fainting. Yeah, that. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an upcoming event, and you know this is upcoming. So there, I said, is it more than just anticipation? They go, no, I feel that I'm deficient. And I says, is this your truth? And they said, yes. Ah, and I said, well, what do you mean? How do you know it's your truth? And they said, well, it's something about 6 years old, feeling very deficient of not having enough information. And I says, what do you mean? Well, after the event. So the question is, how are you going to take care of yourself after the event because you're alone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That
Okay.
that's the biggest question.
So again, can you feel how you feel like you have
Mm,
to shut down?
yep.
Now, what words does it have? I know you're
Um,
doing your best not to run there or run to the end of the
yeah, I
thing.
am.
You're trying to check out. You can feel because you've been very quiet. Oh, well, all right. Let's take this and just hold L2D because there's a part of you that has a regret for being bold and standing up and taking care of yourself. Now all of a sudden it's like, I have this regret. I wish I wouldn't have. Do you know what I'm saying? Did anybody make you feel that that was stupid and you should have took a different route?
um,
I hear controversy, meaning you may have told somebody and somebody that really believes in that no surgery or no medicines or no this, no that, no food, no, no. There's a
uh,
strong no. That's what I'm hearing. No, no, no.
yeah.
Someone says they can relate. Okay. So there's a strong no, no, no. A strong no, no, no. But I feel that this is where you would actually smell those smells. This is where the problem is. Everything we've talked to is about this. Somewhere your brain is tapped into, oh my God, this relates to this. And it's hearing. Now, did anybody in your family have to have surgery? Yes.
My mom had both hips, both knees done. My dad.
Okay. But when you were young, about 6, anybody?
Um, Cornell might have. Oh, my brother did. My big brother, the one that's still here.
Right. Okay. Did you see how they acted and responded?
Yeah.
And it wasn't healthy. It was negative, right?
Yeah.
So you have this part of you that's petrified. Now, I also feel like maybe your mom or somebody, oh, look at your mom. Someone was arguing with her about they think there's a better way of doing something, whether it is with Cornell or it was with the brother, but somebody said there's a better way of doing it.
I just heard grandma.
Okay, now what I'm getting at is that you're feeling this hopelessness that it's never going to get resolved. You're going to go through all of whatever it is you're going to do. I don't know what it is, but you're going to do this, whatever it is you're going to do, and it won't work. Now, the older brother, he had his knees. Did it work?
Mm-hmm.
But was there any complaint afterward? The pain and the suffering? I think you're scared about the pain and the suffering, but yet you're not. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
No,
it,
I mentally and emotionally I'm good with it, but my body is remembering the pain when I woke
right.
up from having my gallbladder out. Or my
Okay.
yeah, my gallbladder out.
Okay. Good. Good. Now notice this is what you can't understand. You have to submit to this pain.
Mm-hmm.
You have to physically submit. So even though somebody else had it done, you had to submit. Do you understand the word submit and how fearful it was?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your best to protect yourself, but you're becoming so overwhelmed from their stress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to do something, whatever it is you're going to do, but the body says, okay, how do I was happy to become a mother, but the pregnancy, or it was great, but the giving the birth was what sucked. I wouldn't mind being a mother again, but I don't want to go through the labor. So the body, everything was fine. When I found I was pregnant with the second one, I went into complete panic mode. My body was in panic mode because it's like, I gotta go through all that ripping and tormenting and pain again. So you're inducing, because you said gallbladder.
Mm-hmm.
Did you also have an operation because you had cancer?
Yeah. I had a hysterectomy at 21.
Did you have anything else when you were younger?
Not when I was younger. No.
Okay. So that means you borrowed it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel how your body says, I already know. It's already ran to the end of the conclusion. And it
Mm-hmm.
has to submit to this pain that it don't really want to do. But the body is like, so if I don't know if it has to do with travel, I don't know if you have to do particular things, but there's something that you're in your face willing to do because you know that this is you, because I know you're on a different path switch. But the body is going, hell no, I ain't going to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what you have to understand is that, okay, this is also related to how the words and things that kept you around the homestead.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's there now. So you're going to do that to yourself. It'll sound familiar, it'll feel familiar, but it is in the submission, the into the flop that. So have you been taking naps more lately? Have you been.
Actually, yeah. I've like only been sleeping like 4 or 5 hours and then taking like an hour or two nap.
Okay, so you're in panic mode, anxiety mode, but it's stuck with this flop stress mode. So you will only get a few hours and then you have to take a nap. But you will actually wake yourself up and with not realizing the body, from what I can hear, the body is saying, oh my God, I'm hopeless. I'm going to be, it's helpless. I'm hopeless. I'm helpless. So your body is remembering the pain, remembering now all of a sudden I'm ungrounded because I've got major hiccups all of a sudden. The body is remembering how could you take care of yourself after your the operation from cancer?
Yeah,
Okay, so did you have to take care of yourself?
no,
So somebody took care of you.
yeah, mom and dad,
Gallbladder.
mom and
Was
dad.
somebody there?
Yep.
Okay, so the support system. So are you flopped because you hold on. I think they convinced you that you couldn't. And then did you milk it at all?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Okay. Understand there's a little joy in the milking and the receiving and the supporting. So whatever adventure you're going to be doing next, these people are dead.
Mm-hmm.
The phobia. And based on the sensory system, I said, is it kinesthetic? Yes. Is it internal? No. Is it balance? No. About where your placement is. Any other? No. So it's kinesthetic. So you physically are afraid. And the body says, I'm physically afraid because I've had these pains before. And before I had all this. I'm not. So whatever it is you're going to go through, you don't think you have the support. And your body is remembering the experience. So, like how I had to help my body so I could give birth was doing Reiki. And I didn't have those other tools. But preparing the body, the only time that I got my body was frightened, and this is the weird part, is I think it's because my sister was in a cast. I've had operations, not a big deal. Even ones where, oh my God, they found such horror in my body, and yet no big deal. I broke my fingers and I went into complete panic mode because my mother had broke her ankle. We rushed her to the hospital. I got to stand there and they had to pull to straighten her ankle. Now, she had it all. I mean, she shattered she shattered it. Even though they put it in alignment, they had to go in and put screws and all these other things. My body, my hand, had a little different story. Oh my God, I don't want him to touch it. Oh my God. But when I broke them, I mean, the insane pain was just unbelievable. Breathing it through, try and do my best not to be getting caught up in the insane pain. We go to the emergency room was way over there, but the clinic was right there. So we just drove right into the clinic, and they do not know what the hell they're doing. I thought they had more professional. They rushed me to the back to where the more professional people are, and they didn't set it. They just they rested my hand on, they give me a board to rest it on and just kind of wrapped it. They didn't set it. They said I have an appointment to the big hospital, and the miscommunication was unbelievable. So I'm freaking out. I'm trying to figure out how to get this, and I know it has to be set, and I'm scared because they were telling me with their beliefs that I'm going to have surgery. I'm going to have to do this. So my hand, I panicked. Then knowing that I was going to put in a cast and it could be itchy, I'm going to feel trapped. I never had anything happen. When I had cut my leg all the way to the bone, I had it bandaged, but I didn't have it in the cast. Where did the panic and the phobia come from? It came from the people that I know that experienced it. So whatever it is that you're going to do, have you seen other people go through a nightmare, fear, hysteria about an issue? That's the thing you have to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom.
Okay, so I couldn't understand it. Now, I understood the second pregnancy delivering because I had already gone through hell from the first. That was real. This, I never broke anything, but I borrowed it from other people. So I'm asking you this phobia, that whatever it is you got to do, you have a slight phobia. It's a small one, but it's kinesthetically, I am going to be able to take care of myself. Now, this also goes into all of those years of, Amy, you're not going to be able to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find you a man. Let's find you this. Let's find you that. Now, you proved to yourself that you could travel. You could do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You proved to yourself many other things, but whatever this is, is that, like I said, if you start to smell, because the event that I think you have is not here yet, but the smells of the shops is to help you understand that you're borrowing. Then, and again, your body's going to want to go into flop. It's got this particular anxiety that is going on, and you have to submit to it. And in this submitting is not just because of the physical pain, but the submitting. Here comes the other one. How much did you submit to your mother as your response? For me, I would have done a freeze mode and a fawn. For you, you've done a flop as well. You submitted.
Yep.
Okay. And that means that you cannot function. It's whether your mind or your body or both are so overwhelmed by this perceived threat that you're not going to be, so you want to faint. Like my body would do these things. I went into a flop. You can't recall unless it is induced. But if you're going to do this, understand the body's going to recall, and you can do it with grace and ease and with a whisper. But again, you were taught that you have to have support. You have to, you can't do it alone, but you also knew that you had to submit. So there's a feeling that you've heard my story as I was talking in the beginning. You'll go through the situation, so their behavior, how they talk, whether it is whatever stress that is. And I said, which one is it? And the thing is that I go into people pleasing, but I've gone too far. Now I can't make it stop, so I flop. I submit. And believe it or not, I'm looking at your submit, and the submit affects. It's interesting. You have crossing energies. This is a big one. We're going to talk about this later because I'm looking at liver and large intestine. Something in the liver emotions stuck in your large intestine emotions. We'll have to come back to that for another day or set an appointment. But you're not able to express yourself.
That makes
you're not allowed to express yourself. So whether you're watching, communicating, texting, whatever, the spirit is telling you, I will give you a sign. I can't tell if you're going to smell it right away or you're going to recognize it right away. You got to build this muscle. But when it does, you're going to start to be able to notice with your gift of awareness that, I'm going to be manipulated. Now, I feel like whatever is going on, did anyone manipulate you into doing something that you weren't ready for? Or you want to do it, but somebody's trying to manipulate you in another way. So we have both sides that we have to look at.
Not that I can think of off of the top of my head.
Okay. But again, this one's complicated, but notice how the body, and this is about your will. So the body is doing something. Okay. Where are you at? Because we're over now.
I feel like I'm at a 0.
Well, you're at a 1, and I want you to grab a cord and put it down and write down what you were working on. And notice it's a 1, say 1 cord, so that you know that you're down to a 1 and you corded it so that you can keep your commitment to heal it later. Okay? So this is, they're telling me to get out of this arrested development. The one thing they want, they go, watch the arrogance of people. Again, if you're talking to any professionals, you're talking to any families or friends or peers, I don't really know who you talk to. Feels professional too, though. You right now, because you're living in a very controversial state, Minnesota, state, don't pick that up. That might be another thing that as you go through your stuff, that stuff is influenced. Let me pull up one thing for you to understand. There was a doctor that had taken and he wanted to explore the spooky theory of if you think of a person and that person then gets measured, their brain gets measured. So if you thought of a person, that person's back part of the brain will light up. And it was very consistent. Every time he did this, he could see, the exact time when a person thought of that person. Now, that thought will definitely affect you. Why? Because if somebody's thinking negative of you, you're going to act a certain way without knowing it, because your brain's going to light up in a response and you are going to act it out. So this is, I think, is connected to part of that flop.
Okay.
Okay. So I said, is anybody thinking anything? No. They're saying, but this is where you are picking up everybody's deficiency. So in this connection, it's not just a straight 1 to 2 people. It is you're connected to that matrix and you are believing there's not much you can do. And no matter what you do, there's nothing you can do. And this is part of you on because we're ascending right now. Your frequency does still half aligned to those people, to that 3D, and half aligned to 5D. So this is where you got to, get off the fence. Do something or get off the fence. And I feel like you're going to have to do R2S, because you cannot stop getting, by looking at the environment, hooked into their anxiety.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
And so by what I know about your past switch, you may be looking at this as the last time, the last time, the last time. Don't do it out of sadness. Do it for closure. Do it for closure, because too much anxiety that's not yours is going to feed into this phobia. That's not even really yours. So whoever you connected to this weekend or whatever you did, be aware these old, and we want this, so you may have to intermingle more, because these old stress response needs to be addressed and healed before you can travel, from what I can understand. I don't know if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does.
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
And the persuasion of the push and the pull to make things happen, you need to also address. Okay? Before you can travel. Okay? All right. You got a lot to work on.
I do.
Do this. But you look at your past, you have been persistent, consistent, and you have been getting results. So you have efficacy. So there's no reason that you wouldn't get it this time. When you're doing it the spiritual way and not the ego way. So that's the best. What'd you say?
There isn't one unless I push with my ego.
Right.
The ego is pushing, then it will be, it won't go the right way.
Right. And you're going to notice and begin to pay attention to the backlash, the karma effects, because you know that you're not meant to be in the Left Behind series. You are meant to be in the ascended stage. To get to the fully ascended stage, you have to let go of some of these things. Because they are not of that higher frequency that you're aiming for.
No, they're not.
All right, aim. I need you to aim.
I'm aiming.
All right. I'm sounded convoluted. Everybody was like, well, she wasn't really stuck on anything, but we were to some degree. And I'm glad you're understanding this language. Other people may think, what the heck kind of reading was that? But Robin says fascinating reading. Okay, good. Somebody else gets it. But it's connected in so many interesting ways. And I haven't talked about the back part of the brain because it's not. I can't really find concrete just from this one doctor, but he has been studying the physics of the spooky theory that Einstein believed in, but yet it also affects the way we can proxy, and we should not be proxying. And if you are having your head going, oh my God, thinking about this person, you are going to affect them, but you are also going to be affected by, oh my God. Okay. So we don't want to be that negative ego program, meaning going in and thinking and stuck in doing a hamster wheel. We want you to come out. So part of it is what you wrote that hasn't ever come to the surface before. And now it has been coming to the surface, but you are working on the stress mode flop. It's not even about fawn or any of the other stuff, but flop. So you have to find out why your body is submitting in the way it is. Hi, Zale. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It
So
does.
the submitting, so this is where spirit wants to teach you with a little bit more grace and ease. Remember to write that down so that you can know when you're being manipulated or by yourself or by someone else. But the one key word was when you're being treated as an object.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, all of a sudden you get lifted and you hear their world and you can't hear yours.
That makes so much sense.
Wants you out of that matrix. That's what spirit wants. All right. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate this, and we will talk to you later. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow in tribal tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. These are all interesting. Well, good. You wrote those points down too. Okay, good. So you must have understood. Tribal is a great place to be if you are ready for your soul to become more in charge, to become a spiritual human, to allow yourself to heal. Oh, look at the feather. I don't even know where the feather came from, but somebody says, oh, I just got a message from my mom. Okay, cool. Tribal is this place where you can come and heal your stuff, but also heal on a global level, soulful level, and you can start to move mountains by listening to at how we construct the matrix that was in the 3D construction. We are moving out of that and into the 5D, which means it's an ascension. If you hear more about the rapture, understand it's not about that physical bodies are just, it's one, or it could be just the frequency. And you're no longer in aligned to a certain groups of people. Now, that doesn't mean they have to die off. You just may not be able to see them, contact them, or be with them, but yet they're still alive. So don't be afraid. Oh, thank you. Don't be afraid. But here's the thing, where's your aim? Where are you aiming? Okay. And we want you to understand that you're aiming to listen to more of your soul. So this is why we want to teach about becoming a spiritual human and giving you all the tools you need so you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars or do any of that, but you can allow yourself to, I don't like my reality. I can see how my energy is invested. I'm going to use tools to take that energy out and realign up to something that is more better for my soul, and the universe will rearrange itself to give you that. Now, some people are like, well, I don't understand that statement about how God would just rearrange it for you. What is he? Is he just favoritism? No, get God out of the equation. Understand that God has no personality like you have, and it doesn't live in right or wrong, good or bad. It says this is how you can see the quantum field, how you choose as my mirror image to express and figure out to get the experience of what we can do. And you give that back to God. God goes, okay, I get it. But God also sits there and says, whatever you want, I will give, and I will not judge you. Okay. So there's a part of you that has to begin to understand that love is always given to you, but how do you want to see it? That's up to you. And if you feel that life is handing you a crappy thing, It's not about life. It's about how you are telling the universe to give you, and you order it, and it gives you what you believe, what your patterns are, what your values are. You can change it at the root. You can change the thoughts and the emotions, because your emotions, the first thing, if you've memorized you're addicted to this particular personality, is that you're going to wake up and you're going to be putting on that personality, these masks, all of this, and you don't change. But if you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm choosing joy, I'm choosing joy, and then you like, oh, there's stress. If you measure it and you heal it out by using a tool, you will get that energy back, and the universe will rearrange you so you can see something better, healthier, stronger, relating to what it is that in alignment with your joy. So set your GPS, catch when you invest your energy into fear, stop it, cancel it, reclaim it, heal out that particular charge, and that energy will come in and the universe will rearrange, because you now gave it more energy to rearrange to having something greater, because your GPS says joy, peace, love, harmony. And you tell God what you want. And if you're over here begging, but yet your programs and your energies are all saying the opposite, the universe will say, okay, I can only give you what you keep investing the most in, and that is this. So that your first order is the heaviest, that you believe people don't like you. God is just giving you what you believe. Now, change these beliefs, change the emotional peptides, change it, change it, change it. And if you don't believe it, watch some old videos how a person went from a crappy place of to rubbing points, holding, and they're able to get out of this prison. And they feel calm, and they feel light, and they feel that it's not heavy and it's not stressful. They feel good. And if you can learn how to be your spiritual self in that state, you then can go to the universe and say, thank you, Spirit, and use thank you therapy to provide for you. And when you see it show up, you can say, oh, I have a program that's resisting this. I'm going to heal that because I am aligned to this and I am receiving it. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to double check if anybody's here that's new, never had a reading. I can give you a free reading. If you've going to pay, just kind of say, hey, I'm going to get ready to pay. Let me know. I'm going to just double check to make sure nobody has, so that I don't just miss it. Okay. Hope you enjoyed today's program. We'll see you next week, or we'll see you in Tribal, which will be tomorrow. And we meet once a month, or once a month. No, we don't. We meet once a week. That can be 4 or 5, depending on the month, of Tuesdays or your Mondays, depending on where you're located in the world. I promise 1 hour, but you get 2 or 3. It's usually been averaging out to 3. I need to cut it back just a little bit. If that makes sense. Okay. There is a lot you can do for yourself. You have to just wake up and realize I get to make the choice about how I feel, where I want to aim. But if you have belief systems and manners and traditions that you believe you have to keep doing, you can begin to heal how you have been hooked into that, believed into that. But there is an investment, and you can heal and change the way you think and believe. It's all up to you. Okay. All right. Double checking again. Love you. Yes, I do. Because Robin just said, I love you, Brenda. Yes, I love you too. We will double check right here. Hold on. Let me look. Oh, yeah, that's funny. That's not correct. There, that's what I wanted. All right. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. Be gentle with yourself. When you begin to see these programs that control you, you can actually begin to become more spiritual and stop it. I love you too, Amy. Okay. Hashtag resolve to evolve. Hashtag when in doubt, heal it out. And I can't remember the one I said, hashtag this and then that. I can't remember what it was. But anyways, hashtag resolve to evolve. Hashtag thank you, Spirit. Oh, Robin will be home for tribal. That'll be good. We missed you. Thank you for that voice recording you sent. That was wonderful. Okay. You're already blessed and you're already whole. So stay blessed and happy healing.